uh, hello. Can you hear me? I'll wait just a minute. I'm a minute or oh now one time. Yes, I know I'm live. Okay, I'll wait just a minute or two to let people come in. Thank you for joining. So I thought we would do weird news stories of the week. I thought that would be pretty fun. And Eva is behind me sleeping. You can see her right there. There she is. Hi, Chino. Good evening. Hi, Chris. Good evening. Yay. Okay, we'll get started in just a minute. I'm just letting people join. I know I'm going to start with that. Okay, well, we can talk about it now. Hi, Morris. Hi, Tom. Hi, Mike. Good evening. So, yeah, I was researching for this video, getting my news stories together, and I see all over Twitter people are talking about Bob Saget. I'm like, what in the heck is going on with Bob Saget? Hi, Lake. And yeah, Bob Saget passed away. He was found dead in his hotel room in Orlando. He was at the Ritz Carlton, Orlando, and was found dead at 65. They haven't released, unless you guys saw an update within the past few minutes, what Bob Saget. Bob Saget, he's a very famous comedian. He was, his biggest thing was Full House. He was the dad on Full House. He did, wasn't it America's Funniest Home Videos? He did that for a while. And he's a stand up comedian and was found dead at 4 p.m. today, Eastern Time, in his hotel room in Orlando. And what's sad about him is I took off work because the ice here. Oh, because of the ice, so I'm finally here. Um, he just started his comedy tour. So his first show was in Orlando on the 7th, and then he had a show on the 8th at another part of Florida. I can't remember where. So his tour just started, and it was supposed to be a very long stand up tour. So, R.I.P. Bob Saget. It just Betty White just happened, and now Bob Saget. I wonder what it was. I mean, he was 65. That to me is still that's pretty young to just pass away like that. So I'm sure we'll find out the cause of death, but that's very sad, and very close to Betty White. I turned 79 on the 10th. Oh, well, happy birthday. Sarah following you on Rumble because YouTube likes not to give me notifications. Do I go live on Rumble? No, it posts after I think I go live. But I want to get it to where I can go live on both at the same time. Oh wow, this is sad. It is very sad, I think. That was seems very unexpected, and he was just posting on his I think it was either his Instagram or his Twitter. He was just posting about how well his shows were going and how he was having so much fun, and they were going to be adding more shows to the tour. So it didn't seem like he had any like serious health problems. Damn, that's crazy that Bob Saget died. Yeah, it is really crazy. But there it is. And it just goes along with the odd theme of the show. Betty White, Sydney. Oh, yeah, I remember Sydney, John Madden, and now Saget. What the F? Yeah. I don't know if you guys know, but my uncle actually recently, back in October, he passed away very suddenly. He had a massive heart attack, and he was playing pool, had a massive heart attack, and was in the hospital for a few days, and then passed away. So he died. He was 71 years old. My uncle was. So that was very sad. It's the COVID vaccines and boosters. I have heard it causes heart issues. I don't know. That's not something I've looked into too much. He was both a clean and blue comic, well regarded by many big comedians. Oh, okay. I didn't know he was a clean. Chris just said, speaking of Florida, we all know that AOC was vacationing in Florida, even though she criticizes it all the time. How bad and dangerous Florida is, and even tried to dunk on the governor, saying that Governor Ron DeSantis was missing in action, even though he was with his wife getting chemotherapy because she has breast cancer. Well, AOC, who's vaxxed and boosted, also she came down with the virus. So she just announced that earlier today. R.I.P. Bob Saget. Yeah, that's sad. I basically grew up with him because I grew up watching Full House. Such a good show, Full House. So I'm sure we'll find out more about that. Bob Saget, an actor. Yep. So pro soccer players around the world, elite athletes are collapsing on the field. I've heard about that. I haven't looked into that too much. That's something I'd like to look into. Okay, so we're gonna for tonight. I figured we'd have some fun, and well, it's not actually fun. Some of it's actually quite scary and depressing. But I thought we would look at some of the weirder news stories of the week, and so we are going to look at this. So I don't know if you guys were, you probably are because you look at the same news that I do, but Joe Rogan had a doctor on his podcast, Dr. Malone, and they were talking about something called mass formation psychosis. And the AP just put out an article today, which I'll go through a little bit, trying to debunk this whole mass formation psychosis idea. And then we have a teacher. Putting her son in the trunk. So we're going to talk about that. Speaking of mass formation psychosis, we have some news from the Taliban. They have some new rules. Hi, Kelly. Hi, how are you? You were the first person I saw, and then so we're gonna look at that. And I don't know if you guys saw this. This is actually really sad too, and this is probably one of the wildest videos I've ever seen, and also one of my worst nightmares. But there is a part of this. I know we don't normally talk about stuff, but since we're talking about just all the craziness that's happening in the world, this cliff. A part of a cliff in Brazil. It was on one of their popular lakes. That's a really big tourist destination. It actually broke off and fell into the water, and it fell onto several tourist boats, and actually 10 people passed away because of this, and I believe around 30 are injured. But I have that video if you want to see it just coming. It's pretty crazy. So we'll talk about that. But first, I wanted to talk about Alec Baldwin because I can't not talk about Alec Baldwin. So we'll do Alec Baldwin, mass formation psychosis, crazy Texas lady, Taliban, and then Brazil. That's how we'll do this. But Alec Baldwin released another really strange video. So the media basically has been calling out Alec Baldwin a lot because they have requested his phone. So the people that are investigating what happened to Helena Hutchins on the set of Rust have requested his phone, and he has not given up his phone yet. So he makes this video basically defending not giving up his phone while he's filming on the phone that he still hadn't given up. I won't show it to you, but we can just listen to it. And then he compares his situation to January 6th. So it's a very bizarre rant. And if you want my opinion, I honestly think that there's things on his phone that he just doesn't want them to see for whatever reasons, whether it's about Helena or other stuff. I don't know. But this is somebody that is not okay. I think his phone will incriminate him. Yeah, there's a reason he's not giving it up. And I am not a psychologist, but he appears to me to be quite the narcissist. That is not an educated opinion. That is just a human with some modicum of common sense and understanding about humans. And I think he's just a raging narcissist, if you want my opinion. And I think it drives him crazy that he cannot control this narrative. And so he keeps digging his hole even deeper, trying to put his face out there to waver the narrative, to feel sorry for him. And he keeps making it worse. It's like, dude, just take a break from social media, take a break from all of this, let it ride. And the more he talks, the more I actually had, if you look at when I first started talking about this, I actually had a modicum of sympathy for him in the beginning. And I don't think he meant to do it, but there was a lot of negligence happening. And actually, if you want an even more update to this story, I'll look at it while we're talking right now. Even Nicolas Cage came out and said something about this. And the interesting thing about Nicolas Cage is that he worked with the armor, Hannah, what is her last name? Anyway, the armorer that worked on the Rust set actually worked on a Nicolas Cage set. And Nicolas Cage actually got a little sassy with Hannah because he didn't think that she was taking it seriously enough. So clearly this is someone who takes safety very, very seriously and takes that job very seriously. But so let's see what he said. Nicolas Cage, Alec Baldwin. And he did it in a way, in a really, I think, polite way. He didn't call out Alec Baldwin by name, um, but it was at sort of an actor round table, and the topic came up. And he said, as an actor, as you're not, or as someone that is a lead in the film, if you are the lead actor in the film, you have almost even more responsibility than anyone else. And he said, okay, so during this roundtable, writer Rebecca Keegan broached the issue of guns on Hollywood sets by asking Cage, he's 58 years old, and the other actors. She said people are talking about safety more in the industry now because of the tragedy that happened on Rust. There's some discussion of whether there should be guns on sets. What do you think? And this is what Nicolas Cage had to say about it. He said, people don't like the word movie star. We want to be humble actors, but a movie star is a bit different kind of presentation because you have to know how to ride a horse. You need to know how to fight. You're going to do fight scenes. You need to know how to ride a motorcycle. You need to know how to use a stick shift and drive sports cars, and you need to know how to use a gun. You do. You need to take the time to know what the procedure is. Those are the job priorities. Now, the stuntman and the movie star are two jobs that coexist. Every stuntman needs to be a movie star, and every movie star needs to be a stuntman. That's just a part of the profile, and that's all I'm going to say about it. So he kind of called Alec Baldwin out without calling him out, and he's the second person to do that. George Clooney also called him out. And we do know that Alec Baldwin had used that gun before, and I think this is why they want his phone, because this information will incriminate him as far as negligence even more. But the gun, I believe, was rigged. So he said in his ABC interview, I pulled the hammer back, but apparently this gun, the way it was rigged, and keep in mind he had already used it before, he also requested it. Um, but apparently this gun was rigged in a way that if you pull the hammer back, it will go off. So he wasn't supposed to be pulling the hammer back. All right, now let's listen to his bizarre rant. Speaking of driving a stick shift, the clutch went out on my car on New Year's Eve. I'm so sorry to hear that. Okay, here's Alec Baldwin. This was like a 5-minute video, but I took out the first like 2 minutes. But this is when he starts talking about, this is him trying to control and trying to fix the narrative to make himself look better.
Amazing. That's a miracle. One other quick note, any suggestion that I am not complying with requests or orders or demands or search warrants about my phone, that's bullshit. That's a lie. This is a process where one state makes the request of another state. Someone from another state can't come to you and say, give me your phone, give me this, give me that. They can't do that. They've got to go through the state you live in. That is a process that takes time. They have to specify what exactly they want. You can't just go through your phone and take, your photos or your love letters to your wife or what have you. I really don't know, but but of course we are 1,000% going to comply with all that. We're perfectly fine with that. And but as I always say, consider the source. The people that tell you that. Sidney Poitier died. He's on the cover of the Daily News and the cover of the Post.
So this is basically him calling out the New York Post, because the New York Post has been covering Alec Baldwin a lot, and he's saying that they should have Sidney on the cover and not what's going on with him.
Something else. Sidney Poitier, one of the icons of this business, like kings, movie royalty, dies, and on the cover of the Post they have other lies and bullshit and nonsense. The best way, the only way we can honor the death of Helena Hutchins is to find out the truth. That's what I'm working toward, insisting on, demanding, that the...
So he keeps saying, we need to find out the truth, we need to find out the truth, yet he hasn't handed his phone over yet.
Organizations involved in this investigation do everything in their power to find out what really happened. That's all that matters. The best way to honor the death of Helena Hutchins is to find out the truth. And any suggestion that we're not complying, myself and any lawyers I'm working with or what have you, is a lie. It's a lie. We're gonna, as soon as we go through this process, then by all means we will comply. But I have no worries about that. That's all going to work itself out, regardless of what they say in these right-wing rag sheets and people who are all about hate. But setting aside all the hate, setting aside all the January 6th of it all.
So that's basically the gist of it. And you see, besides all the hate, here he goes. We're very familiar with this. Any sort of criticism that comes is coming from a right wing, right? It's coming from right-wing conspiracy theorists, and he compares it to January 6th. That's what a narcissist he is. A country has been taken away from us, and he's in on it. Yeah, and he's upset over the jet. This is why it's like, dude, just stay out of the media for a while. Just calm down. You don't have to post things all the time. People would probably have more sympathy for you if you didn't. Someone just said next he'll be accusing all of his criticizers of calling him a racist. Yeah. But the thing is, now he's mad at anyone that is, casting judgment on him or critical of him. Yet the irony is, he was so quick to judge and criticize. Like every time there was maybe a police-involved shooting or anytime anything happened with a Republican, he was so quick to condemn and criticize them. And now anyone that criticizes him is right-wing. They're right-wing. And you know what's really odd about him? I actually just saw this. This is very odd about Alec Baldwin. Hello. This is very odd about Alec Baldwin. So his wife, she was found out about a year ago, like right during when we were on lockdown. I think there were a lot of people that were just really bored. And she got found out for faking a Spanish accent for years and lying and saying that he is an extreme lefty. And that's basically what they do. They deflect all criticism to people that are right-wing, or if you're AOC, they're just people that want to date you and have sex with you. If you criticize AOC, you just want to date her. That's a new one. But his wife also lied for years, saying that she was from Spain, and she's actually from Boston. She has just vacationed in Spain a few times with her family, and then her parents moved there after, I believe, once they retired. But she is very much from Boston, and she would fake this accent for years. Even her profiles with her agent said that she was from Spain. And I thought about this, and I'm like, the whole thing was just so weird. And she actually took, because she was celebrated as being from Spain and being a woman of a certain culture. And actually, when you do that, you actually take spots away from real Spanish women. So you could almost call that cultural appropriation. I mean, that was cultural appropriation. If a term cultural appropriation was ever appropriate, that was a mouthful. It would be Alec Baldwin's own wife, Ilaria, whatever her name is. And it was interesting because I saw an interview and I'm like, maybe this is something sneaky she just did on the side. Alec Baldwin wasn't really keen on this, or he didn't know this. So I'm watching an interview with Alec Baldwin on a late night talk show, and he brought up his wife, Ilaria, and he even said on the talk show, she's from Spain. So I'm like, wait a second. did she also lie to her husband about this? And this was a while ago. Obviously, she's had to come out and correct herself and say, no, I'm from Boston. But it was just very odd. I'm like, did she lie to him or did he lie too? Like, what is going on here? And that's a very, very strange dynamic, which you could go even further into the psychology of someone like Alec Baldwin and his wife. Very strange. Okay, so enough of that. Enough of him. Smart tactic. Baldwin needs to leave the spotlight for good. He can't leave the spotlight for good. He can't. That's why he's so desperately trying to change the narrative, and isn't that cultural appropriation? That absolutely is. And that's a term that gets thrown around a lot, and I don't agree with a lot of it, but I think in that sense, that actually is cultural appropriation. I mean, she literally took things away from women that are actually Spanish because she was hailed as a Spanish woman, like she was on some style list. All kinds of stuff. Okay, so this guy, Dr. Malone. Thank you so much, Kelly. That's very sweet. Mwah. Did it say? I don't know if it said anything. I think, mwah. Thank you very much for that. So you guys probably heard that Joe Rogan had this guy on his show, Dr. Malone, and they talked about all things the poke. I hate using that term, but I'm always careful what I say on YouTube. They were talking about the poke, and he actually, I believe he invented the what is it? The mRNA? Let's see. Dr. Robert Malone. But he actually invented things that are in the vaccine. So he's Jabberdo, that's a good one. I'll use that one. But he actually invented the stuff that's in some of these vaccines. And so he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and they started talking about all the sort of the fear mongering that a lot of the coverage on this is done, and the mandates and all of this. So he is against the mandate, and he is against all the fear mongering that's been going on. And he called what we're seeing with a lot of people, and I don't know about you, but I've seen normal people go nuts. I was cussed out for being outside and not having a mask on when I lived in Hollywood. People have gone absolutely insane. And so Dr. Malone was on Joe Rogan talking about what he calls this mass formation psychosis. And the episode was taken down from YouTube and just censored into oblivion. And now you have all of these left-leaning news publications trying to discredit this person who actually invented some of what is in the vaccines. So, and the thing is, they're just having a conversation. Joe Rogan is someone that literally just asks honest questions, and people just have conversations. You can believe it or you cannot. That is your choice. But it's just crazy how quickly they try to discredit any sort of opposition to the narrative. That's what I call it now, the narrative. So this is the AP trying to discredit Dr. Malone. Okay. So it says, I'm just going to read a little bit of it. Malone highlighted the unfounded theory on a podcast hosted by comedian and commentator Joe Rogan. During the episode, Malone cast doubt on the jabberdudo. Is that what someone called it? The jabberdudo? The stick. The pointy stick. He cast doubt on the pointy stick safety and claimed that mass psychosis has resulted in a third of the population basically being hypnotized into believing what Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert, and mainstream news outlets say. Malone went on to say that the phenomenon explained what had happened in Germany, if you know what I mean. And he says, When you have a society that has become decoupled from each other and has free floating anxiety in a sense that things don't make sense, we can't understand it. And their attention gets focused by a leader or a series of events on one small point, just like hypnosis. They literally become hypnotized and can be led anywhere. He claimed such people will not allow the narrative to be questioned. I mean, does that sound familiar to you? It sure does to me. I don't think you have to be an expert in any field or a psychologist to have eyeballs and to see what's actually happening with people. How crazy. And literally, the censoring of this episode proved his point. Crediting a professor in Belgium, Malone also said in a December blog post that this mass hypnosis explains millions of people becoming captivated by the dominant narrative concerning the safety and effectiveness of the pointy stick. Psychology experts say there is no support for the psychosis theory described by Malone. To my knowledge, there is no evidence whatsoever for this concept, said J. Van Bavel, an assistant professor of psychology and neuroscience in New York University, who recently co-authored a book on group identities. Van Bavel said that he had never encountered the phrase mass formation psychosis in his years of research, nor could he find it in any peer-reviewed literature. Okay, so they're like laser focused on just the name and not the meaning behind the name. Which, again, you need mere eyeballs and ears that work to see what has happened. The concept has no academic credibility. Again, they're focused on just the name. The term also does not appear in American Psychological Association. Again, focused on the name. Psychosis is a term that refers to a condition that involves disconnect from reality. According to the National Institute of Health, estimate that about 3% of people experience some form of psychosis at some time in their lives. The description of mass formation psychosis offered by Malone resembles discredited concepts such as mob mentality and group mind, according to another psychologist. So, seriously, how is mob mentality and group mind discredited? Again, we covered the riots all summer long. We saw it with our eyeballs, what groupthink and what mob mentality can do. And this is what mob mentality and basically groupthink is. It's the idea suggests that when people form a part of a psychological crowd, they lose their identities and their self-control. They become suggestible, and primitive instincts and impulses sort of take over. The notion has been discredited by decades of research on crowd behavior. No respectable psychologist agrees with the ideas now. How is that? I mean, things like, we just talked about it with the whole Astroworld incident, because there was a lot of things that the crowd could not control. There were too many people, and the people that passed away were literally just crushed. But there was also this, when you have a group that big and that rowdy together, they all of a sudden are not caring about the safety of the person next to them. We saw it all summer long with the riots. Again, you don't need to do years of studies. All you need are eyeballs to see that when large crowds are together, things like that happen with a clear intention. Things happen. So anyway, that's what it said. They were just desperately trying to discredit everything. Good night. They were just desperately trying to discredit everything that Dr. Malone said on Joe Rogan. And they are constantly trying to discredit Joe Rogan. And in my opinion, I've seen his stand-up before live at the Comedy Store. I have listened to the podcast for years now, and Joe Rogan, to me, is just someone that likes to have conversations with people and likes to ask questions. Okay, so since we listened to the AP try to discredit this idea of mass formation psychosis, this is a great little segue into this next story, which I think proves Dr. Malone right and not so much the AP. And this story is a Houston woman is being charged with child endangerment. So, a Houston mother has been charged after allegedly placing her 13-year-old son in the trunk of her car in an attempt to isolate him after he tested positive for the virus. Then she took him to a drive-through testing site. In a statement reported by KPRC, an NBC affiliate, the Cypress Fairbanks School District said police were alerted that a child was in the trunk of a car at a drive-through testing site earlier this week. Law enforcement conducted a full investigation, resulting in the warrant for arrest. Sarah Beam, 41, was charged with endangering a child. Thankfully, the child was not harmed. Authorities say the boy was found on Monday at a testing site for the school district in Northwest Houston. Beam is a teacher with the district. The charge against her was filed on Wednesday, but not made public until Friday. According to a court document, the district's director of health services was gathering information. So this person that worked for the testing site was out gathering information from vehicles in line at a testing stadium where she discovered the 13-year-old in the trunk of the car. The mother stated that she put her son in the trunk to prevent her from getting exposed to possible virus while driving to the stadium for additional testing. Beam had not yet been arrested or turned herself in, authorities said on Friday. Court records did not list attorney. Okay, you get the gist. So this mother put her own child, a 13-year-old, in the trunk of her car to quarantine her 13-year-old because she was afraid of getting exposed. Mass formation psychosis. Wow, and thought that that was okay. Someone said, AOC tested positive for the coof. Yes, I saw that. And what's even better, no, what's not better, there's nothing good about this story. This is a terrible story. This poor child. And you know that she is she is poked and boosted. You know that. And her child probably is too. So, you know, if we're believing everything that the media is telling us about it, you know, if you do get it, you're going to have pretty mild symptoms. And she still was so paranoid that she put her child into the trunk of a car. And is it any surprise that she is a teacher? Is it any surprise? And she's 41 years old. She's not, like, even before we had the pokey sticks available, she is not in a high-risk category. I saw a picture. She's not obese. Hey, Sarah. Sorry I missed the beginning. Hi, MacGyver. I put 13-year-olds in the trunks all the time. Perfectly normal behavior. Yeah, and she's probably super liberal. Siri, be quiet. Sorry. The term for is dirty vaccine. You know what's funny? While on the subject, Brian Stelter, hold on. Admitted that all of this fear-mongering has made CNN the butt of a lot of jokes. So, I wonder if I can find it. I forgot about that. I can't find it. I can't find exactly where he said that, but he did say that. If I can find it. But yeah, and it's your own fault there, Brian Stelter. That you literally had CNN literally had a death ticker throughout the whole thing. How is that not going to freak people out? And we also learned what a weak society is. There is this really good little phrase. It's good times. Wait. Bad times create strong men. Strong men create great times. Great times create weak men. And I think we've had it so good for so long, we don't have to worry about a whole lot. And the worst thing in my generation was, 9/11, and that was really awful. But this is something that I affected everyone to a sense, and we're all disconnected from each other. I remember being on lockdown in California, and then I was only around my boyfriend and maybe one other person the whole time. Unless we would go out to eat or something like that. But we're not going to places where we're interacting with a bunch of other people. And one of the first times that I actually was out interacting with a lot of people, people that I didn't know. No, I was around a few other people, but I mean like people that I didn't know and that people that we think the same way. Was when I went out to get signatures to collect for Gavin Newsom, and you're just talking to all these people, you realize even some of the people that I would say are super liberal and really bought in, like were like double maskers, like that type of person, they even were starting to see how silly all of this is. And when you talk to people, you realize that most people, we agree on most things. Like if you're just a normal, I'm not talking about like a far leftist or even like someone that's like really far, but most commonsensical people, like most of us agree on most things. I really do believe that. But I think that when we're in our homes, when we're locked up in our homes, when we're watching our news, we think that the rest of the world is against us and the rest of the world is crazy. And I think that can make you even more extreme. That can make you even more paranoid. And I think that's what happened to a lot of people. And it's just wild. And what did he say? He said they can't tolerate anything that goes against their narrative. And it's true. Even when you present them with information that's like, look, it's not this bad, or this little thing doesn't work, they go absolutely nuts. And that woman, again, she was double vaxxed and boosted. And if you know how it works, and if you know your comorbidities, mobility, what I say, if you really do believe that the vaccines work, then you know that even if you get it, your symptoms aren't going to be that bad, and you're not in a high risk category. And she still put her son in the trunk. I wonder what they're going to do with that. If you are charged with child endangerment, can you have your kid back? That poor kid. It's not the kid's fault. His brain's not fully developed yet. Alka-Stelter. He did. He admitted that all this fear mongering was making them the butt of a lot of jokes, and it is. And you're literally watching the narrative start to crumble. It's just starting to crumble. I mean, you see now, so now in California, they recently just announced that if you are a healthcare worker, even if you're positive, you still have to come to work. And the quarantine went from, would it go from like 14 days to 10 days? Now it's 5 days, because the new variant is so infectious that literally the whole like economy would just crash. I think if everyone stayed home for 10 days, if they were positive, and it's basically like, I honestly might have had it. You probably can't tell, but my voice still isn't completely normal, and I still am coughing and stuff, but I might have had it, and I think I gave it to my mom, and it was like, just, I don't know if it was it, but there's literally, I'm not waiting 3 hours to get a test. Just not gonna do it. And plus, I was basically home for the whole time anyway, so it didn't matter. But even around here, you go to all the testing sites and people are waiting hours to get a test. And you can't even find them anywhere because you have symptoms of a cold. Mass formation psychosis. Australia, yep, the largest prison colony in the world. I know, I'm hearing about Australia. Holy cow. That seems to be the worst. Okay, let's talk about the Taliban. This story, this is weird. So, the Taliban, who is now, they basically have control over Afghanistan again. So they're ordering all the shop owners to behead their mannequins. If it wasn't so sad, it would be funny. I don't know what to make of this. So it says the Taliban has ordered closed shop mannequins to be beheaded because they are idols, as the brutes continue to wage war on women's freedoms. Shopkeepers in the western province of Herat in Afghanistan have been told to chop the heads off of their mannequins after officials ruled the dummies were sinful idols. The worshipping of idols is considered a sin in Islam, which bans the worship of anything other than Allah, considered to be the only God. The harsh ruling was published this week by the Ministry for Propagation and Virtue and the Prevention of Vice in Herat, the body responsible for overseeing the Taliban's strict interpretation of Islam. The ministry initially ordered shopkeepers to remove the mannequins completely, but the store owners hit back and said it would cause significant financial loss. The complaints prompted the leader of the ministry to order that the mannequins be beheaded instead. Business owner Abdul, he's a business owner. Business owner said that each mannequin costs about $100 or $80 or $70, and beheading them will be a huge financial loss. The Taliban has not changed. There will be restrictions once again. They have not gained international recognition, but should they obtain it, they will bring back even stricter limitations. So if you are a clothing shop owner, I actually agree that you shouldn't have idols. I mean, you can have people that you look up to and respect and like, but I don't. I think idolatry is a very bad thing. So I actually do agree that you shouldn't have idols. But mannequins, so if you're a store owner and you have a mannequin, they cannot have a head. No one worships mannequins. No one, other than Tipper Gore. Mannequins actually, they kind of freak me out a little bit. The head mannequin industry will be in the ruins. Yes. Is there like a separate craftsman somewhere that specializes in mannequin heads? Everything is an art. Everything. Have you seen the movie Mannequin? That was one of my favorite movies. Maybe I'll watch it tonight. This is too funny. I know. Freedom. I have loved it. I love it. Especially the second one is my favorite one. So good. Kim Cattrall, I think. Yes! Wait a second. Now I'm looking this up. Was that Kim Cattrall? No. Mannequin. Okay, who is in it? Who did she play? Hold on. Christy Swanson. Okay, so she was the mannequin girl. Or maybe was Kim Cattrall in the first one? Hold on. Yes, Kim Cattrall was in the first one. She was the mannequin. Okay. Hold on, are there images? 60 Minutes is going all in on the propaganda right now. What do you mean by that? Yes, she wasn't in it. She was the mannequin. Wow. Okay, you know what? I don't think I've actually seen the first one. Maybe I'll watch that later. I've only seen the second one, and that was a favorite movie of mine. And now that I'm looking at this, I didn't see the first one. Oh, but they still had that character in it. What great times. January 6th week. You know what? I don't think that worked for them. I don't think like all the January 6th propaganda, I don't think it worked. I think it just made them look pretty bad. And fun fact, did you know? I got a fun little bit of information for you. Just give me a second. So, hold on. Yeah, we were just talking about that at the very beginning. We were talking about how Bob Saget passed away. I saw it when I was actually getting ready to go live. I was like, why is everyone posting about Bob Saget on Twitter? And it's because he passed away. That's sad. They haven't released the cause of death yet. Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but the Capitol was actually bombed in 1987. And the person who did it, let's see. And it was actually a far leftist group. So when they say that this is the worst thing, like since Pearl Harbor, the Civil War, I think that was so embarrassing for them. Okay. One of the members involved in the attacks was Rosenberg, who was arrested by the FBI in 1984 and charged with. Wait a second, I thought it was 1987 this happened. Or was it 1983? Okay. 1983. Apologies. It was 1983. 1983 bombing of the Capitol building by a woman who right-wing allies are saying is now a leader of Black Lives Matter organization. So a woman that was arrested for this she was put away for, I believe, 16 years, and she works with Black Lives Matter. And I'm not sure in what capacity because I actually just found out this information today. Okay, Susan Rosenberg, formerly a member of left-wing terrorist group known as M19CO, did participate in the bombing of the U.S. Capitol in the North Wing in 1983, for which she served a 16-year prison sentence. But she is not the head of Black Lives Matter Global Network. Rosenberg is on the board of directors for a nonprofit that sponsored the BLM Global Network project from 2016 to 2020. While Barry acknowledged that in the context he provides, the meme he shared is misleading. Oh, this was the Newsweek trying to fact check the Babylon Bee. It cracks me up when people try to fact check the Babylon Bee. So anyway, this left wing, this like far leftist terrorist group was responsible for a bomb that went off in the Capitol in 1983, and the woman that was arrested for it served a 16-year prison sentence, and now is now on the board of directors for a nonprofit that sponsored the BLM Global Network project from 2016 to 2020. Interesting. Isn't it interesting how the dots always connect themselves? You don't even have to do anything. Also, remember when the Women's March stormed the Capitol building during the Kavanaugh hearings? And they were saying, flood every hallway, blah, blah, blah. And then they're stop trying to make January 6th a thing. But I don't think rather regular people buy it. I really don't. The whole thing was rather embarrassing. And they had this whole like candlelight vigil out on the Capitol steps while people are like, why is my gas so expensive? Why is there nothing on the shelves? Why is everything so expensive right now? How am I going to afford to pay my bills? That's what people are worried about. They do not care about the Democrats having a narcissist filled, I'm going to say a really naughty word. And I'm sorry, a really naughty term, but that's all I can think of what it is. Okay, I apologize. If you're young, earmuffs. A televised narcissistic circle jerk is the only way, I'm sorry, I can describe what the Democrats were doing with their little vigil. And I don't think anybody cares. And these are the same people that, basically like praised the rioting. AOC is literally, I believe it's still on her Twitter, was saying, you protesting should make people uncomfortable. Chris Cuomo, who said that protests were supposed to be peaceful. This was the rhetoric all summer. Wow, but they didn't care when small businesses were being burnt down. They didn't care that civilians were losing their lives. They didn't care that an 8-year-old little girl was shot and killed by a BLM rioter in Atlanta, Georgia, or David Dorn. They didn't care about any of these people. They only cared when they were a little bit uncomfortable. That's when they cared. We see you. We see you. We know what you're doing. They really didn't. And that's why it's like, I don't even, they didn't care when people were literally losing their livelihoods. And that's what bothers me more than anything. Go ahead and be a hypocrite and go ahead. But what really bothers me is when this actually did, and I'm not just saying this to make a point. I'm being serious. On a human level, these riots really, really bothered me. Watching people lose their livelihoods, watching people lose their loved ones, watching people, watch their neighborhoods burn down. It really, really bothered me on a human level. And to see people in power knowing they knew that this was happening and they knew that they could stop it. But being a political hack was way more important. Winning an election was way more important than being a human. It really, really did disturb me. Like, it really disturbed me on a major level. Because that was just like the biggest gaslighting. Like, that now with the whole January 6th thing is just the biggest mass gaslighting that I've ever seen. The hypocrisy on the left on every single issue really bothers me. They were not protests, they were riots. Yeah, they were riots. I mean, and I will say, like, my neighborhood in West Hollywood was protest central for the entire summer. There were some people that came out and protested and nothing happened. But that's also because LA, you won't see this televised. You won't see this on the news. But LA actually did not play with the riots. There was that one night that was awful. And I will say they did not play. We had the National Guard there like that. In every corner of my neighborhood, there were National Guard. They were even on the tops of buildings guarding, and police were out en masse. So I will say, I do have to give LA credit where credit's due, even though LA does not deserve credit for much, but they got that under control fast. They were not like Kenosha, where Kenosha basically let their own city burn down for 3 nights in a row. LA really got their crap together. So there were people that were protesting that didn't do anything, but those weren't the problem. The problem was the ones that were not protesting. Like what Kelly said, the problem were the riots. If it was all peaceful protests, we would just be sitting here just calling out the hypocrisy that these are the same people that are terrified of getting the virus are now out in mass. In LA, for example, too, LA, it was an excuse for a lot of people to go out and party. And I saw them. They were like drinking, they were partying. And some of these protests actually happen. So where I lived in West Hollywood, they have a huge, like is it June that's Pride Month? I think it's June that's Pride Month. So every June, there's a huge Pride Festival, one of the biggest Pride festivals in the US. And like tons of people come. It's so bad. When I first moved to West Hollywood, my landlord was like, okay, after we got the keys, two things, Pride Fest and Halloween. He goes, just join it. That's all you can do. Just join it. That's how bad it is. You know, you can't even drive. So what happened was the weekend that Pride Fest would have been, and obviously it was canceled because we were all in lockdown. This is 2020. The weekend that Pride Fest was supposed to be canceled, there were these BLM marches, right? And I remember walking down and I'm seeing like a bunch of dudes dancing up and down and having like music on the bed of a pickup truck. That was not a protest. That was an excuse to go out and party. And that, I don't know if that was other cities too, but that was definitely LA. LA was a lot of it. I think people were just, I don't even think people knew what the protest was all about. They were just there as an excuse. Okay, have you guys heard? I'm going to show you this video. This is probably one of the craziest videos I've ever seen. I'm just going to put my computer up here. Did you hear about what happened in Brazil? Hold on, let me unplug this. Just like the Kenosha rioters. Just like the whole Obama change. Oh yeah, I remember I voted for Obama both terms. He was all about the change. Party in the streets. I actually got a local news anchor to tweet this out. I got, right in the middle of lockdown, right? I got this. I'm not even joking. If I can find it, I will show it to y'all, or I'll put it in the communities. This is not made up. I'm not making this up. I got a notice from the West Hollywood Chamber of Commerce during the summer of 2020, and it was basically, it was the Chamber of Commerce, so it was just a notification to the businesses in the area. Blech. I did vote for him both terms, and then I changed my mind quickly. It was his second term where I was like, what? What is all of this? I got this notice from the Chamber of Commerce that said, she's joking. She already knows that. So I get this email. It's an email from the Chamber of Commerce, and it was just warning businesses in the area that this event was going to be taking place. Okay, here's the part, and no, I'm not joking. It was going to be a Black Lives Matter disco party in the middle of the intersection, and it would be from like 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., and there was going to be a DJ. I sent that to a local news anchor, and he tweeted it out. Disco party, because we're discoing for justice. I could not believe when I opened my email and read that. I was like, this is real life. This is real life. Yes. Okay, now we're going to talk about something totally different, because I cannot believe this. What are you protesting? What are you rebelling against? Marlon Brando, Wild One, 1953. They don't know. My favorite thing was, Lady Gaga, she publicly endorsed Biden several times. Well, I didn't even mean to stumble upon this video. I should have saved it. She was asked in an interview, so why should we vote for Biden? And she literally, it was so funny. There was an uncomfortable silence. She just sat there. we live in a racist society. And racism. That's basically what she said. She has no idea. Oh, gave Biden. Yes, he does. No, he was going to shut it down. I haven't seen any shutting down of anything except businesses. Okay, I'm going to show you this video. This is not politics related at all. I just, like, could not believe this story. It's very sad. Was that the Clinton Foundation, Obama? So this is actually very sad, but have you guys seen this? I'm going to try to hold it up for you. This happened in Brazil. You probably heard about this story. This video was going viral, and it's basically a big chunk of a cliff. It just falls off into the ocean, and several people have lost their lives for this. Hold on. Lost their lives because of this. I've never seen anything like this. Shuts down the press. Have you seen that? Hold on, I'll play it again. This is actually my worst fear. Is that not wild? No, it's really sad. Some of those boats did not get away, but what happened was, this was in Brazil. So this happened in Brazil. This is at a lake, a very popular tourist destination, clearly because it's beautiful. And these were all tourist boats that were touring the area, and some of them were really close to this cliff. And what was happening before this video? Now it's 10 people. Someone said 6 people passed away. It's 10 people. Strange. Maybe it was a small earthquake. Well, we now know why this happened. So, well, now they're being questioned why the boats were even there, because apparently this area in Brazil had been getting, like, record downfall of rain. Is it... Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? What did I do? Hi, Nina. Can you hear me now? What about now? Did something with the cord. What about, it happened when you set down the video you were showing. I know, but my mic is not connected to the computer, actually. It's on my phone right now. I feel like it happened when I messed with this. What about now? Did you accidentally change your software sound setting? No, I checked it. Oh, it's on? Yay! I think I was turning it, I was tightening it, and I think I accidentally unplugged this little guy right now. It's too loud, sorry. Yeah. What about now? Am I good? I think I unplugged this one. Does it sound better? Good now? Okay. So now it's 10 people died in that accident. Okay, cool. Thank you guys. Sorry about that. I think I accidentally unplugged it. So this place in Brazil had record rains to the point where one of the neighboring towns completely flooded, and all kinds of people had to evacuate and leave their homes. So a lot of people are saying they shouldn't have been out there. They were too close because of all the bad... fuck. Sorry. It's static? Is it okay now? Okay, now. It's fine here. Keep talking. Okay, I'm not going to touch it. Not going to touch it. It's robot-y? Okay. Okay, thank you. So this area had like record downpouring rain, to the extent that people had to evacuate their homes. And right before this was happening, so the boat that was filming this, they were yelling for the other boats to get away from the rocks. You need a Bama shirt on. Roll Tide. Thank you, Daniel. I actually have some friends that went to Alabama. So right before this happened, there was video prior to this, and there's a waterfall next to it. All of a sudden, the waterfall got super thick. Like, water was just, like, coming over like crazy, and rocks started falling from the bottom, the base, which that's actually a really bad sign. That means the base is not good. And people were yelling at these boats to get away, and the one boat... Yes, that's weird, isn't it? So Troy just said the main boat, so if you watch it slowly, there's one boat that it did not move at all, and that's probably where a lot of the fatalities were. And it was the one that was just sitting there right in the middle and got crushed by the falling cliff. The name of the boat was Jesus. Very weird. But that makes me sad. Something like that happened recently. I can't remember. Was it Venezuela? No, not Venezuela. What am I thinking of? Volcano. That's what's so scary about some of these places. New Zealand. This happened recently in New Zealand, but it was a completely different natural occurrence. There were all of these boats that were visiting a volcano, and the volcano went off while some of the people were on the island with the volcano. That one killed 22. And it was the same thing. They were asking why were tourists allowed to visit an active volcano, because this was a volcano that was active, and it had been pulsating, I think, before this happened. Above the noise of the boat engine, it was quiet. Jeff Hopkins remembered there was no rumble, no roar to signal that the White Island volcano had awakened. The crater he just circled with his 22-year-old daughter, so they were actually walking in the crater and going around the volcano. The crater he just circled with his 22-year-old daughter, Leilani, erupted as they sat in a catamaran several hundred meters from the shore, watching with other passengers as the island disappeared under the ash. A rolling, rumbling mass of ash trembled over the cliff face in all directions, and it completely engulfed the island. It cut out the sun. It went dark. You couldn't see that there was an island there. It was completely covered in ash. And the question heard over and over in the long hours since was why? And the question is that his daughters and others were allowed to go near the island, let alone scale the crater at its center, when geologists had repeatedly warned Kelly, thank you, Kelly. Kelly said, I need a Vols t-shirt. I'll get both. You know what I used to do? Sorry, I'm going off topic. I don't even know if you guys care about that topic. I'm sorry. I get really interested in sort of these natural things that happen and why people get so close. I used to work at a sports bar a long time ago, and we had these like tank tops that we had to wear, and I didn't like them. I thought that they were ugly. But if you wore a sports t-shirt for a team that was playing that day, whatever game it was, whether it was football, baseball, soccer, like whatever we were watching, if you wore that team's shirt, you didn't have to wear your uniform. So I ended up having all these teams of t-shirts because I just didn't want to wear my uniform. And it was funny because people, when they see you wear a shirt, they automatically assume that you're a fan. So they would start asking me about the team, and I didn't know. So eventually I just got a shirt that said sports. And my boss let me wear that. And that's what I would wear to work. Half the tips. So it goes on to say, why was anyone from, and it's similar, there were signs that this area might not have been very safe. Hey, I rooted for a team. People die from nature trying to show off their selfies. Oh my gosh, there was one woman, I can't remember where it was for the life of me. I don't think it was Niagara Falls. Sorry, I'm just taking a sip of water. I'm still like, I'm better, but hold on, my throat gets really dry. Sorry. Okay. I'm good now. There was a lady, she wasn't taking a selfie, but she was trying to get a close-up picture of something. I want to say Niagara Falls, but I'm probably completely wrong. And then she fell. She went over the railing, the safety railing, to get a picture, and she fell. And to her death, trying to get a picture. So it says, why was anyone from retirees to oh, and when did this happen? This was recent. I think this happened in 2020. Yeah, this happened in 2020, so this was very recent. 22 people were on the island and were killed by this volcano. So it says, why was anyone from retirees to children allowed to tour the crater of an active volcano despite warnings about bursts of gas and steam in recent weeks? So there was steam and gas coming out just weeks leading up to like people on this volcano. And this was a known active volcano. So you would think that why would tour operators and cruise lines tout an adventure ride with prices starting at $260 per child at such risk? And why, as of Tuesday, were there no clear answers as to who is ultimately accountable for ensuring visitors' safety? The family that owns the remote island or the government charged with enforcing health and safety regulations? There has to be more respect for nature. We can't assume we can access anything that we want. You know, I saw this happen a lot in Colorado. I lived in Colorado for about 5 years. I lived in Denver, and a lot of people would unfortunately like pass away trying to climb a mountain that they were not qualified to climb, or going into areas that were not supposed to have people in them. And what it happens is, number one, you put your safety at risk. You break the hearts of your family. And number two, you take up really important resources from the state, because they have to have helicopters go out there, rescue teams. That's a lot of money and a lot of time where they could be doing other things. But people just, you see that it's sort of this entitlement that you can access anything and everything, and Mother Nature is wild and crazy. And Lord, I respect Mother Nature. I am scared of Mother Nature, and I respect it, but it's unpredictable. There has to be more respect for nature. We can't assume we can access everything that we want. And this is a volcanologist. That's a cool job. Who visited the White Island, also known. Okay, this is something policymakers and the public need to consider. Even though this is such a great place, should we be allowing people to go in such large numbers? The volcano is the island's main draw. The town of Wakatane, I think that says, calls itself the gateway to White Island, and much of the local economy is driven by tourist visits. Already, locals are concerned about the effects of the eruption will have on the community, and questions of disclosure and negligence swirl. White Island has long been promoted as New Zealand's most active volcano, appearing in Lord of the Rings and other blockbusters, when it in fact is a little more than its dangerous apex. Around 70% of the volcano sits underwater, and tourists walk into its crater and up to the lip of its crater lake, peering into its cavity to see the endlessly boiling core. I mean, that does sound cool, but it's active volcano. You're walking into this enclosed amphitheater onto the floor of a very active volcano where there are steaming gas vents, where there are crater lakes filled with hot water close to boiling temperature. What? That tells you there's a source of heat under the volcano that is constantly supplying hot gases and heating up fluids under the molten rock or magma. Basically, you have this hot cooker system at a constant high temperature and high pressure. Whoa. Okay, so GeoNet, the agency that monitors geological activity in New Zealand, had reported increased activity at the volcano for several weeks, raising the warning level to a 2 out of 5 while maintaining that the island was still safe for visitors. Clearly not. Now more than 27 of the 47 people who were on the volcano when it erupted are suffering burns on at least 30% of their bodies. That's what I don't understand. I don't know anything about volcanoes, but if there's any activity, shouldn't they just say, let's hold off until... Oh. And also in this area where that cliff fell into the water. Oh, Kelly said, I've heard this too. She said in Hawaii, they say that if you take a piece of the volcanic rock, that you have bad luck for the rest of your life. I've heard that too. But so in the area where that cliff came off, I'm wondering if there will be an investigation into that, because they did launch a criminal investigation into this volcano thing. I don't know what the results of that are. It doesn't say in this article. But I wonder if there will be some kind of criminal investigation in this, because there had also been, in the area where the cliff fell off, there had been mudslides already because of the downpour that they had. And it was flooded. Like, people were walking and the water was almost up to their chest. Or at least something where you're like, okay, you can go see it, but you have to stay this far away. I don't know. I'm going to see if it says anything. Cliff falling, Brazil. See if there's any new news. Someone says Home Depot sells lava rock. You know what? I think I have a bracelet made out of lava rock. Does that mean that I have bad luck? Oh yeah, there's something that's pretty cool too. There's someone said Yellowstone. Yellowstone has a super volcano under it. Yeah, they're not saying a whole lot. I'm seeing if they're not saying a whole lot about the weather as of right now, but I did see. That is so scary. I used to, uh, no, it doesn't. Yes, it does. The Yellowstone crater, sometimes referred to as the Yellowstone supervolcano, is a volcanic caldera and supervolcano in Yellowstone National Park in the western United States. I don't know if you were talking to me. I think geology is really fascinating. Oh, here's that story. Oh, this happened in Australia. A 38-year-old woman tumbled to her death Saturday after she slipped on a barrier at a popular vista point in the Australian state of Victoria. It's a popular selfie spot. I'm doomed. Are you talking about me? I don't know where it is right now. That bracelet I was referring to. Yeah, so this woman, and this is really sad, this woman she had a child. She was with her child and husband when she climbed over the safety barriers. The lookout gives sweeping views of the Grampians National Park. I don't know if I said that right. She was trying to pose. Oh my gosh. She was trying to pose on a picture perfect rock when she fell around 3 p.m. Wow. You were right. Hi. The Salty Cracker, if you guys don't watch him, he is so funny. He's funny. Did you hear that Bob Saget passed away? I did. We were talking about that at the beginning of the live stream. I was just on Twitter um, right before I started live streaming, and I'm like, why is everyone talking about Bob Saget? And then I looked, and it's sad. I looked, and he passed away. It's sad too because he just started his tour. He was doing a comedy tour. He had just started it, and that's why he was in Florida, because he had a show on the 7th in Orlando, and then another show on the 8th at a different part of Florida. I can't remember where it was. And they found him in his hotel room, and they pronounced him dead on the scene, I guess, when the paramedics arrived. It's really sad. I don't know how they haven't, unless they just did. They haven't released how he passed away yet. Salty says things like circle jerk. I couldn't think of any other way to describe that whole situation. Lava rock is also pumice. Is it really? Wow. So, oh my gosh. Okay, just 18 hours ago, Bob Saget tweeted this out. He said, "Love tonight's show at PV Concert Hall in Jacksonville. Appreciate the audience. Thanks again to Real Time Wilkins for opening. I had no idea I did a 2-hour set tonight. I am happily addicted again to this shit. Check out bobsaget.com for dates in 2022. That's very sad. And Candace Owens says, too many people are dying suddenly and unexpectedly, and the media is gaslighting. My uncle did. The Quartering, that's a YouTube channel that I follow. He said, Bob is off to see Norm, hashtag Bob Saget. Oh yes, that's another one that passed away, Norm Macdonald. That was so sad. And he had been quietly battling cancer for a while. I had no idea. He actually had a really funny tweet about January 6th. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, this is, okay, Bob Saget found dead at 65 in Florida hotel room. Earlier today, deputies were called to the Ritz-Carlton Orlando Grand Lakes for a call about an unresponsive man in a hotel room. The man was identified as Robert Saget and pronounced deceased on scene. Detective found no signs of foul play or drug use. So it looks like they're already ruling out drug use. That was like, I don't know a lot about Bob Saget. I didn't know if he did drugs or not. Was your uncle famous? To me, he was. My uncle is actually a retired probation officer or parole officer. Him and his wife, they're both retired parole officers. And one of the last stories he told me was a story about how he kind of got in trouble. They called him a cowboy because he actually chased somebody on foot once. I can't remember if he caught him or not. Oh, interesting. This is the Quartering had a tweet about Bob Saget, and I didn't know this either. He said, a lot of people in my generation won't know Bob Saget for anything more than the dad from Full House or the narrator from How I Met Your Mother, but he was the director of one of my favorite movies, Dirty Work, and known for having a huge heart in addition to some killer stand-up. Okay, I don't know. Does anyone know the movie Dirty Work? My uncle did pass away. He had a heart attack. So he had a heart attack. And thankfully, it was at a time where he was having fun. He was actually playing pool. And he just grabbed his chest and fell down. Yeah, I didn't think so either. But I just didn't know. Betty White had just got her booster 2 days before, I believe. Interesting. Didn't know that Saget did stand up. Yeah, he does stand up. Dirty Work is a cult classic. Not a fan, but I know lots of people who are. Thank you, Lance. Blessing going doing what you love. I think so. And especially with, well, first of all, Bob Saget, he's touring. He was probably having a great time. I mean, staying at the Ritz-Carlton. Hopefully it was a happy time in his life, and hopefully whatever happened to him, he went really fast. Norm was in Dirty Work. Interesting. Okay. But my uncle was having fun, and he just collapsed, and after that he was basically out. So he didn't suffer anything like that, which is good. Let me see if I can find something. Norm Macdonald, Jan 6. Oh, Norm Macdonald is trending again. Norm Macdonald had this really funny... The more I read about this Hitler guy, the less I like him. Okay, now we can just appreciate Norm Macdonald even more. January 6, 2021. This was a tweet by Norm Macdonald. He said, and he was talking about the insurrection. He said, I loved when the violent terrorists made sure to respect the velvet ropes in Statuary Hall. Is that Statuary Hall? Great tweet. Hitler was rejected from art school, I think. Whoa. So this is actually pretty cool. This is totally different, but I just saw this tweet. I heard about this earlier today. So this happened in LA. There was a pilot who had to make an emergency landing on train tracks. I didn't realize it was this close. So it says, this is from the Los Angeles Police Department headquarters. It says, Foothill Division officers displayed heroism and quick action by saving the life of a pilot who made an emergency landing on the railroad tracks at San Fernando Road and Osborne Street just before an oncoming train collided with the aircraft. So they took him out apparently within seconds. That's pretty cool. Bob Saget. I keep changing the subject. I'm sorry. Dang, that's some action movie stuff right there. That is for sure action movie stuff. That's another fear of mine. I do not like train tracks at all. They freak me out. Unless I'm on the train, then I'm okay. But I don't like driving over them. I don't trust the things. I don't trust... What are these things called? I don't trust them. So it says, Bob... I didn't know this. And I've seen the movie. Bob Saget also had a cameo in Half-Baked. Remember that movie? I didn't know he had a cameo in that movie, and I've seen it before. I've seen it a few times. I googled it. Hitler was rejected from art school twice, for real. I don't see him as an artist. Crossing gates. I don't trust the crossing gates. I don't trust no one. Oh my gosh, Lance said he was stuck on a train for 24 hours. Oh, you're okay as long as you lift your legs up when going over the tracks. Oh, the Golden Globes are on tonight, I think. Did anyone even know? Hillary was rejected from being the president. Did anyone watch? She did an interview. I can't remember what television show it was, but she did an interview where she read what would have been her acceptance speech. Like, how embarrassing. No, thank you. No, don't watch any award shows. I used to love to watch all the pretty dresses. I don't pay much attention to Hollywood these days. Nobody cares. That was so cringe. She cried at everything. I only saw, I decided to spare myself that one. I only saw clips of it, and I saw her crying. I was like, I can't do this. It's too much. I can't do this to myself. All right, you all, that's everything that I have for you tonight. Ow. That's everything that I have for you tonight. Thank you for joining. The Globes aren't on TV. NBC dumped them and not broadcasted. Oh, yes, you're right. NBC did. They ate themselves. I remember now. The Golden Globes ate themselves. That's what happened. They canceled themselves. You are so progressive. She's sleeping. She's like, right, see her? Here she is. She's been sleeping this whole time. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining. That was fun. I might go live tomorrow during the day. If I do, I'll notify you in the morning. Because I have to be somewhere at night. AOC is positive. I saw that. I wish her well. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining. That was really fun. Have a good night. Good night, Sarah. I'll watch for you. Okay, I'll put it on the community post during if I go live, because I have to be somewhere tomorrow night, so I can't do nighttime. God bless America. Thank you all. Okay, everyone have a great evening, and I'll see you later.